Good day. Welcome to another edition of Ebima Amungo's Perspective on Global Affairs. Before I continue, I urge you to please press the like button. And if you're new to this show, I also urge you to subscribe. Many of us have heard about Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was the Mongol leader who swept across the whole of the world and created one of the the largest or the largest contiguous empire the world has ever seen. From the steppes of Mongolia, him and his hordes went around and conquered a vast amount of territory. He is known to have been very successful as a conqueror. But he was also known to be very, very terrible as something else, a destroyer of civilizations. He destroyed quite a lot of civilizations. At last count, possibly maybe up to 10, because one of the things he did, and him and his horde, is that if you defied him, he will destroy everything. Your culture, your cities, your peoples, and history will not even remember where you are. Quite a lot of trail of destruction was left by Genghis Khan. But even then, in the 20th century, we found one other leader who came out of nowhere and was very determined to destroy one particular civilization, a people, the Jewish people. His name was Hitler. He was very determined and he killed quite a lot of them. He did everything to try and eliminate them. But the Jews showed resilience and they survived, they thrived, and they expanded into many territories. Well, there's a new leader now who wants to do onto another civilization what Genghis Khan and what Hitler did. He wants to destroy the Iranian civilization. Why? Because the Iranians have defied him. The Iranians have defied him. And I should say that there's a little history with this leader. When you defy him, he comes hard on you. There's this little company, very little. You may know it, but it is a little company by the reckoning of this leader. The company's name is Huawei. They have a very defiant leader called Ren Zhengfeng. Ren Zhengfeng felt the full brunt of President Trump in his first presidency when he was the 45th president of America. What did the Huawei and Ren Zhengfeng do? They dared to become the #1 smartphone company in the world. They dared to be so innovative. They dared to become a challenger to Apple. And they dared to put into jeopardy, possibly threaten so much of the 3 trillion valuation of Apple at that time. There was a lot of 401ks riding on it. President Trump came and he banned Huawei. Ren Zhengfeng said, Huawei, the president of America, does not know who we are. And they defied him and President Trump doubled down. This leader who wants to wipe out the civilization now, I should point out very clearly, it's President Trump. He doubled down on Huawei and he made sure that he dropped the nuclear bomb on Huawei. And what was that nuclear bomb? That Huawei was not going to get access to any technology that had American input in it. And indeed, almost all the technologies had American input in one form or the other. Design, software, maybe not manufactured, but to a large extent, there was an American input in most technologies globally. Huawei was frozen out. But where is Huawei today? Huawei is now very big, much bigger than Apple in China, much bigger than many companies in America, because Huawei is one of those companies who are who have the resources to throw in $20 million, $20 billion into research. They are now bigger. They are now straddling so many domains. And they are that cell phone company, that cell phone company that President Trump tried to kill. It's now back and it is now among the top 5 in China. President Trump, though, has decided that there's one particular people he will destroy and there will be nothing that will be left of them. And this is it. President Trump put out a very ominous tweet today. It's a very frightening thing. People have not seen anything like this for a long time. And this is the tweet. He said, a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radicalized minds prevail, maybe something revolutionary, wonderful can happen. Who knows? we will find out tonight one of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. Well, this is a threat that nobody in Iran is taking lightly, because the Iranians have said that no matter what threat President Trump puts on them, they are going to continue to do what they are doing. And what is that? To defy him. They won't open the Strait of Hormuz. They won't stop bombing their neighbors who harbor American bases and American technology companies, and they are going to defy him. So tonight we see now that President Trump is going to do a big one. Whatever it is, we really don't know. There's this talk here now. There's this question of why people in America are not defying him. People are defying him, but there's a little problem in the American reality, political reality. It's a bipartisan agreement with these policies of President Trump, particularly towards Iran. You don't see the Democrats not too happy about what President Trump is doing. You don't see quite a lot of people in the MAGA. He has support, even though people are not happy with the war, but he does have a lot of support in the political class. I want to reference and go back to one particular person who was not shy about saying what she will do to Iran in case if she became president, and that is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton at one time was very much in the running to be president of America, and she just echoed the same thing that President Trump is now echoing in his message. I want this to be very clear. People ask, why is President Trump able to get away with this? The Congress is compromised. They believe everything he wants. Everything he's saying is something that they themselves harbor within themselves to be able to do, obliteration and destruction of the Iranian state. This is Hillary Clinton here when she was running for presidency. Iran has been under threat of obliteration by the Americans, and that's why, to a large extent, the Ayatollah always called the Americans the great Satan. And it was a loop that was feeding on itself. They will obliterate them, and then the Iranians said that the great Satan, death to Iran, and it continued, death to America, death to America. That chant continued, and that's now one of the excuses that is being used against the Iranian state. So what I'm saying, in essence, that politically, President Trump, as somebody who always knows how to echo what what people want, he's just saying what many of them have always harbored. Anyway, Vice President Vance is very much repeating what President Trump is saying. He's repeating what President Trump is saying, and this is it. So he also...
Iranians are engaged in acts of economic terrorism, so they've got to know we've got tools in our toolkit that we so far haven't decided to use. The President of the United States can decide to use them, and he will decide to use them if the Iranians don't change their course of conduct. Not going to happen if the Iranians are engaged in acts of economic terrorism, so they've got to know we've got tools in our toolkit that we so far haven't decided to use. The President of the United States can decide to use them, and he will decide to use them if the...
Well, whatever those tools are, we are very, very, very scared about. And we are very worried that those tools may lead to something very, very ominous, possibly the use of nuclear bomb on Iran. Everybody is now conjecturing that there may be a use of nuclear weapons on Iran. Well, what has happened is that some people are really concerned. And they are the ones they were very much once in the corner of President Trump. Alex Jones here said, war crime alert. Trump on Iran, a whole civilization to die tonight, never to be brought back again. The definition of the genocide is destroying an entire civilization and people. Trump literally sounds like an unhinged supervillain from a Marvel comic. And another person who has said this is Candace Owen. This is a satanic administration. We all realize that satanic Zionists occupy the White House, and Congress needs to move to have this mad king removed. All of our lives may depend upon the countries realizing that Trump is deeply unwell, surrounded by religious fanatics who have convinced him that he's a messiah. We are in uncharted territory. Leaders worldwide need to act accordingly. Another person too has said this is former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. The 25th Amendment is now needed. Not a single bomb has dropped on America. We cannot kill an entire civilization. This is evil and this is madness. Another person too who has said this is that Alex Jones has said that President Trump has lost his marbles long ago. And these are people who are very staunch supporters of President Trump, I should point out. Another person too who also is in this particular mold is Tucker Carlson. And this is an interview that Alex Jones had with.
Existential threat. How do we 25th Amendment his ass?
The problem is to get the 25th Amendment is harder than impeachment. You have to get 2/3 of the House and 2/3 of the Senate.
So what do we do?
Tackle Trump and pretend, let him pretend he's president and publicly report that he's going through a health issue and Vance take over. It literally needs to be something like that. It's that bad.
I've known you a long time. You've never called for an internal coup before.
Ever. But that's how dangerous this is. That's how risky it is for the whole world.
Yeah, if I was the Democrats, I'd stop poking Trump and messing with him. That only makes it worse. Like, you guys need to watch out. This isn't a guy acting like he's crazy. This is real.
So we now see that there are some voices that are actually coming out now and saying things like this. Well, the people in that region are beginning to be very worried. And this is Qatari Foreign Minister spokesman Majid Al-Ansari. If left unchecked, the escalation will get to us into a situation where it cannot be controlled. We now see that the whole of that region
out of this to find a way of ending this war before it spirals out of control. Right now, I don't think Qatar can offer any answers to your questions. The only thing we can do is to say that all of us in the region have always had a very clear position around this. The infractions on our sovereignty by Iran cannot be explained or justified in any way. The continuation of this war in this way will only mean more costs for the people of the region, for the international peace and security, for international economy, for international energy markets. And there are no winners in the continuation of this war. There are only losers, and the net of losers is expanding every day as a result of this.
Well, for the Israelis, they feel that very much so they are protected, they are far away. But who knows? Ted Postal and some other people are now beginning to say that Iran possibly may have raced to the nuclear bomb, and they may have it. So whatever it is that President Trump is planning, it is one that has become very, very concerning to everybody in the region. We don't see the Saudis talk much, but we know that the most belligerent among all of these Gulf countries has been the UAE. Well, there was a lot of bombing on Iran over the course of the past day, and one of them was apparently the Israelis put out a tweet and said and warned the Iranians that they should not use rail stations, and they've started to attack their rail stations already. The infrastructure of Iran is supposed to be obliterated from this night, and now we are hearing that it's not just the infrastructure; it's possibly also the civilization as Iran as a civilization. Well, the bombing continued. Another one is the U.S. and Israel launched an attack on the Kaigal land. Israeli army reported a series of attacks on dozens of targets in several regions of Iran. Pillars of smoke are rising above the island. So the Kaigal line, we know, is a big target of the Americans. And one other place that was hit, though, in the whole of the attack was a synagogue. Many people may not know it, but Iran continues to hold a very robust amount of Jews. Many of the Jews in the Muslim countries have left because one of the reasons is that the Israelis were very intent in getting Jews all across the Middle East to come into their country, and all the wars against the Palestinians and against all these other civilizations and cities had been framed as a Muslim versus Jew war. But over the course of time, the Jews in Iran have felt comfortable and continue to stay there. But yesterday, a synagogue was bombed.
در مجاورتش یک کنیسه بوده که هدف حمله موشکی.
So among all the infrastructure that was bombed yesterday was a Jewish synagogue in Iran. Many people may not know this. They have a large population of Jews in Iran. They used to be very, very large in the Middle East, but they've all emptied out of Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, all those places where they used to be. But in Iran, they continue to feel safe, and they're there now, and they consider themselves Iranians. They don't consider themselves any other thing. So Chief Rabbi of Lehaza, the leader of the Iran's Jewish, inspected the ruins of a synagogue today, the one Israel bombed. He once said Iranian Jews will never fail to defend our homeland. 9,000 Jews, 2,700 years in Iran. Israel bombed the Jewish synagogue. Well, the whole idea of this is let them be uncomfortable enough so that they can all move to Israel. That is the place that Israel wants. Israel has a very active process of trying to get all the Jews from wherever they are to their country, and however they do it. We know one of the things they did in Iraq is that they bombed the Jewish community and blamed it on the Iraqis. It turned out to have been a Mossad agent who bombed them. Well, A statement by RGC now says that they will not hold back. From now on, certain considerations regarding good neighborliness and self-restraint have ended. We will deal with the infrastructure of the United States and its partners in the Persian Gulf in such a way that they will be deprived of the region's oil and gas for years. Another story I have here now is that Iran has canceled all diplomatic and indirect communication channels with the US following Trump's threat. Message exchange have been suspended and ongoing diplomatic efforts are now reportedly frozen. This comes right after Trump's threat a few minutes ago that the whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. Well, so we see Iran, one of the big problems, though, is that President Trump is very frustrated that he's not able, he has no way of opening up the Strait of Hormuz. And his own method probably is to bomb Iran into smithereens. But it doesn't take much to control the Strait of Hormuz. It just is something that Iran has said that this is within their legal rights. By United Nations definition of littoral territory, a large part of the Strait of Hormuz falls within Iranian and Omani territories, and it's not supposed to be international free passage for all because they are littoral territories. That is how Iran sees it. And many countries are now making their own personal arrangements with Iran. That shows the limitations of our American power. The Asian countries particularly have seen that it is in their best interest to settle with Iran. Traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has climbed to its highest level since early days of the war as more countries secure apparent safe passage agreements with Iran. So this has become one of the big points of frustration for President Trump that they see American power sleeping. Iran is making sure that they not only attack American power and American hegemony in the Gulf, they're also attacking the American dollar because all those countries who are passing would have had to settle all of their payments and fees in Chinese yuan or riel. So we see something also happened yesterday, late in the night. Iran unleashed 450 missiles on Israel. I think it is this realization of the power of the Iranian state that may have prompted Trump to make this, that he's going to do something that will be destructive of a civilization. Yesterday, Iran stepped up and launched 450 missiles all across of Israel, mainly attacking Tehran, and there was just no response. There was no way to even stop them. Obviously, at this point now, we now see that completely the Israelis have been depleted of their interceptor meters. And it is this, like I said, the Iranians weren't showing their hand at all. They were not showing their hand. Now they are beginning to show their hand. 450 missiles in one day, it's a record breaker by any means you look at it. And the air base in Erbil was attacked again. Camp Victory was attacked again. The American air base will be attacked repeatedly, and it fits within the strategy of the Iranians to make sure that there's nothing the Americans will be coming back to if this war is over. The whole of the Gulf, the bases in Al Udeid, the base in Bahrain, the base all across the Gulf are now being destroyed in the manner that will not be habitable again or repairable. Another story I have here is continuing with the theme of the vast destruction that took place yesterday in Israel. They were really attacked. The Iranians stepped up, like I said. Said Marandi, the one who we know has become practically an unofficial spokesman of the RIGC, actually put out a tweet where we saw many parts of Tel Aviv burning. It was quite a frightening thing to see. And this may just have been the realization that may have told President Trump that this people's defiance is going to continue until it may lead to the destruction of Israel. We should remember that President Trump has a big intent to continue to be the protector of the Israelis. 450 rockets poured down Tel Aviv, energy sources in Haifa. This your propaganda, and victory comes only from God. Share and rejoice. So we see this. Everybody was, many people who support the Israeli cause were putting these videos out and sharing it. It was a really bad one for the Israelis yesterday. Well, in the other side of the world, let's also remember that there are some other things happening in other part of the world. The part that is sanguine, the part that is peaceful, wholesome, make you think that they're not part of this world. China. In China, while war is going on in that neighborhood, China is trying to build good neighborliness with a country that possibly would have sparked another war in Southeast Asia, and that's the Taiwanese. Yeah, the delegation of the Chinese Kuomintang Party, led by its chairwoman, Cheng Li-wan, arrived in Shanghai at noon on Tuesday for a mainland visit that will run through Sunday. The delegation is scheduled to visit Jiangsu province, Shanghai, and Beijing, marking the first time in a decade that the KMT chairperson has led a delegation to the Chinese mainland. So there are two ways. The Chinese have said that either by military means or by negotiation and diplomacy, they would have reunification with Taiwan. And apparently, with what's going on in the world now, this strand of Taiwanese leadership are now finding a way to make better relationship with China. That war that the Americans have looked forward to having that will lead to the destruction, possibly, or slowing down of and containment of China may just not be happening, as the Taiwanese may be moving towards making peace with China rather than having a fight with China. I think when they come to see the fact that when a war finally arrives, things like ballistic missiles, hypersonic missiles, and all these drones have now reshaped the way warfare is supposed to be fought. No amount of submarines or anything can help them, because the Chinese will also have their own variants of tracking down American submarines and blowing them out of the Pacific Ocean. No doubt about that. So let's go into the X review today. I think we somehow managed to save enough time to have a lengthy X review session. So let's go into the X review today. And this one here starts with the IRGC spokesman saying that yes, I think I can just start from the very beginning. Yes, Iran cancels all diplomatic and indirect channels of communication with the US. And then they suspended, and we know who was carrying those indirect. It was Pakistan, so they've decided that they're not going to do it again. And what has happened here now? Well, it seems like that trade has gone, so I might just continue with another trade. Sometimes this is Twitter and this is technology and this is live recording. So sometimes when these things happen, it catches you off guard. A human chain has been formed in the White Bridge in Al-Haz. Yes, one politician called for Iranians to form human bridges against any possible attack on their country, so that you will not just be attacking their bridges, you will also be attacking. This shows the patriotism of the Iranians. When that parliamentarian called that people should come and protect their bridges, people came out and they're showing this nationalist favor. These are the infrastructure that they built, because we should remember that this country has been under sanctions for 46 years, and all this infrastructure they built by themselves. The simple reason is this: any country, any company from any part of the world who tried to engage with the Iranians will be threatened with sanctions, and many of them just chose them. So many infrastructure you see in Iran was mainly built by the Iranians. Islamic Iran has turned Haifa into Gaza, every sense of the word. This is what happened in Haifa yesterday, and this comes off of the 450
على الأقل وإصابة العشرات وما أثار قلق الخبراء العسكريين.
So this comes off the 450 missiles that were shot across Israel yesterday night, and it shows some of the destruction there. Tritapasi is also become very, very visible in the space of giving better understanding to what's going on here. So I'm waiting to hear European condemnation of this genocidal statement. I expected to be disappointed. Perhaps German Chancellor will once again say that the time for discussing international law is not now. Well, we see the Europeans being very complicit. It's one that has, like I said, why is that many people are quiet about it? Why is Europe quiet about it? Why is Russia quiet about it? Why is China quiet about this statement? Everybody is watching for to react rather than take preemptive actions against President Trump's actions and statements. It's just one that has really put the world in a very confused situation. Let's go on to the other stories now. And the next one here now has to do, the leader of the Jewish community sees firsthand the aftermath of the bombed Iranian synagogue in Tehran. We've seen this already. Like I said, there's a large amount of Iranians, Jews. They have chosen not to leave. Many have left. Many. The conflict between the Muslims and the Jews over in all of the Middle East have made that many of the Jews have found safety in Israel rather than stay in their countries. Like I said before, as much as almost 50,000 Jews have left Morocco and Tunisia, and much more than used to be. Breaking, the use of a new secret weapon will soon begin and it will bring an end to the enemy's operation. The Iranians keep telling us that they have large suites of weaponry that they have not used. There's no cause to doubt them. The suites of missile systems we've seen and ballistic and cruise missiles and drones that we've seen in this war shows that the Iranians prepared very well. They were very, very creative in building up their military arsenal and their vast inventory of missiles. North Korea leaves Iran on road. Kim Jong-un decided that it's bad move to back Iran so he can improve relations with the US while Trump is in charge. He sent no military support and public statement. I think this is propaganda. You don't even need to tell me. The North Koreans have said categorically and continuously that they will support Iran. People forget also that the ballistic missile technology that the Iranians now have, they got it off of their relationship with North Korea. The North Koreans have given up on Trump. They have no illusions that President Trump is going to be a friend of theirs, and they have even offered that if Iran is nuked and Iran is bombed with a nuclear weapon, that they have offered their own nuclear weapons to the Iranians. So this story here, you can see it for what it is. It's just pure propaganda. It's not the truth. Yes, Max Blumenthal, another Jew, is not very much in support of the Israeli state. This is one of the things people forget about the American Jewry. They are not necessarily in support of the actions of Netanyahu. The Netanyahu regime, particularly, this particular Netanyahu regime, is the one that has Smoldrich and Ben-Gvir, two of the world's biggest extremists, and two who have also been indicted by the International Criminal Court of Justice for their actions in Gaza. Trump, Netanyahu's main water carrier, seems worried. Trump, we didn't talk about the first one we rescued. Then someone leaked something about the navigator. We are going to find whoever leaked it. Whoever it is, we will manage to track them down through the network that published it. We'll ask for the leaker. We'll say it's national security, and therefore it could end up in prison. This story here comes off of the fact that President Trump was complaining that somebody leaked about that operation that they used to go and rescue the WSO. That leak, and President Trump during his press conference actually said that he was going to track whoever leaked it and have a problem. And many people have indicated that it was Amit Sagel, a journalist who's very close to Benjamin Netanyahu, who may have leaked it. Let's go on to the next story here now. And it says, breaking, U.S. Vice President arrived at Budapest. He has already arrived. He has had statements. He had press conferences with Viktor Orban. The election is going very well. Is it for or against it? But it's a close one. It's tight. Viktor Orban is having a fight of his life. The whole of Europe is against him. So America is throwing their weight in supporting Viktor Orban. This is blatant election interference. But why wouldn't America do it? America is saying that the Europeans have been interfering in the elections in Romania, in Georgia, and in Hungary too. They have thrown their weight in trying to remove Viktor Orban. So Viktor Orban has the patronage of President Trump, and President Trump has dispatched J.D. Vance to help him. Tucker Carlson is a low IQ person that absolutely has no idea what's going on. He calls me. This is because Tucker Carlson has been very much against President Trump. He has, just like I said, Alex Jones and Candace Owen, Tucker Carlson has also been a big critic of President Trump. And in this particular video, let's listen to him.
You're tweeting out the F word on Easter morning? You'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. So obviously you're mocking the religion of Iran. Okay. If you seek a religious war, that's a good idea. But by the way, no decent person mocks other people's religions. You may have a problem with the theology. Presumably you do if it's not your religion.
Well, I should point out that people like Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, Candace Owen, it was on the back of these podcasters that President Trump moved into the presidency because he didn't have any joy or any love, no love from the legacy media. It was this Joe Rogan particularly were the ones who helped him to become president because he had a new alternative media space. And now they have all turned against him. They are all criticizing him. A gunman conducted shooting attack against Israeli consulate in Istanbul. Yes, this is one of the stories. The Israelis have had the benefit of protection from Erdogan. Much as Erdogan criticizes Israel a lot about what they are doing in Gaza, we see also now that the people of Turkey have taken matters into their hand against Israel. Israel enjoys some form of economic benefit from the talks. So Erdogan's rhetoric sometimes conflicts with the desire of the people, and obviously, two people have taken their hand and went to attack the Israeli embassy there, and they were killed. We should remember that it's through Turkey that Azerbaijani oil gets to Israel. Source said that Trump will decide to resort to technical nuclear weapons in case of failure to reach an agreement. This is obviously what a lot of people are afraid of. And we should remember that when they say this weapon, tactical nuclear weapons, it is much more bigger than in output than the weapon that was used in Hiroshima, 15 times by the conjecture of people. Sometimes people like Scott Ritter here, we are 40 days into the war, and if it was important, we would have bombed it already. The targets Trump is talking about hitting have nothing to do with military capabilities. He's talking about hitting civilian targets. Scott Ritter and many other people are among those who are criticizing Trump to this point where
he admits that we provided weapons to the protesters. That means they're not protesters. That means they're insurrectionists. That means they're traitors, and they deserve the harshest punishment possible. But we also know that the 50,000 figure is a manufactured figure from Mossad and others. The Iranians say that just under 4,000 people were killed. Many of them died at the hands of the insurrectionists. Other people say that as many as 7,000 could have been.
There's been a big propaganda against the Iranians here. They manufactured some figures after the December demonstrations that they instigated, and President Trump announced that he actually sent guns to them. Israeli society is struck by Zionist syndrome, aggression in Israel on the sharp rise. In a car, Jew run over anti-Zionist Jews who are peaceful. There's internal contradictions going on in Israel now. Some people don't like this war, and some do. To a large percentage of people support the war, but because of the strain of the war, we're now beginning to have these problems now in Israel. General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says the HH-60 came under fire from virtually everyone in Iran. This is what
is doing fine. After picking up Dude 44 Alpha, the HH-60 Jolly Green fight was engaged by every single person in Iran who had a small arms weapon. And one of the aircraft, the trailing aircraft, took several hits.
Apparently, we now see that the Iranians are almost like the Americans, that they all bear arms. And in that rescue effort there now, we saw that it was mainly the people tribesmen who were the ones attacking, the combatants. Chinese civilian drone company Fly Control recently developed a short-range, low-cost baby Shahid drone. The drones cost 3,000 RMB, has a 20 kilometer range, flies at 200 kilometers per hour, and launched by hand. The Chinese are playing some games in this war going on, both in Iran and mainly in Ukraine, that we really don't know. They have the competencies for drones by miles. Nobody comes close to the Chinese regarding drones. They are the ones that own the whole technology for drones, and they call it the low Earth economy technologies that they have. It's a whole category that is worth over almost 100 billion now. It's rising. I think as a last count, it was 50 billion in total worth of that particular category. But the controllers for the drones, all the electronic components for the drones, the stabilizer, the gyroscope, they are the ones who have and manufacture this. And anything you see about the Russian drone and Ukrainian drones tend to come off of this, and the Chinese are advertising. It won't be long before we start seeing those drones on the battle theater now. And BlackRock just started liquidating all its cryptocurrency ahead of US markets today. Well, BlackRock is doing a lot now. We see that they're playing very big on the derivative market. BlackRock, like you point out, is the number one asset under management. They have over 10 trillion under management. And they can disrupt and they can change the nature of any single market regarding how they buy or how they sell. Those people who are into finance will know about the role that BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and all these private equity firms now play in finance in America. Anyway, this is where I'll end my video for today. If you think that President Trump is very well within his rights, the Americans are very well within their ability to wipe out the Iranian civilization, please put it in the comment section. Whatever you feel about President Trump, put it in the comment section. If you feel the Iranians do deserve to live and to be listened to, and for new arrangements to be made for them, to accommodate them in the global community of nations, put it in the comment section. Do well to like and share and hype. Let's get this channel to more viewers. Until my next video, you have a good day.